I was like, do you think you can knock me out? I've only had 2 girls knock me out in 20 years. I was like, oh yeah, I love a challenge. And he brought the watermelons, and he had a blue tarp, the painter's tarp in his office. I was high as shit, no windows, locked the door, come in. I put his chairs down, I'm sideways in a figure 4, and I start putting it on him, and pop, I hear this loud pop, and he's out, and I'm lifeless for like a good 10 seconds. I'm like, I broke his neck, he's dead. I'm looking at the tarp, I'm looking at him, tarp him, and I'm like,
am I gonna have to roll this body?
Yeah, I'm like, am I on punked? Like, oh, so high.
Welcome back, one and all. Thank you for listening. If you're new here, this is the Totally Wholesome, Not Dirty podcast, and I'm your host, Molly Stewart. We define wholesome a little differently here, and my guests span everywhere from the adult industry to the vanilla side of humanity. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. Word of mouth is what helps this podcast grow. So share with a friend, leave a comment, download an episode, or anything you can to help with the algorithm. I release episodes every Monday, and if you're subscribed, you'll never miss an episode. You don't want to miss out on all the crazy conversations that evolve here. But that's enough from me, and let's get to today's guest.
So now I need coffee.
Yeah, and it hits different now.
Yeah.
Like it's actually necessity.
Wait, this is a show. Hang on.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Totally Wholesome, Not Dirty podcast. I'm your host, Molly Stewart, once again coming to you with zero structure plan as always. And joining me is co-host Laura and Kortney.
What's up?
Welcome. I was just gonna say that coffee is not gonna do shit for me when you smoke meth for 9 years, but
Oh,
we can go get
tell
my
me
line.
stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know. I've never done meth before. I've tried Adderall, which I've heard is like a very similar, like a downgraded version of meth. But how does it go, like staying awake for like days on end?
Yeah, it's just, I think the longest I went was like 2 weeks. And that's when I made this awesome decision to get this tattoo right here. I'd been up for 2 weeks and basically was in a blackout. And I thought, well, because I'd always have a 6-pack. It's semi there, but not now. But I'd be like, I don't want to get pregnant and have, that turn into a lobster.
Yeah.
That was legitimately was my thinking when I was drinking.
So you were like, if I get this scorpion on my 6-pack, then I won't have babies because I don't want a lobster.
That's exactly it.
That's a great line of reasoning, actually.
Sniffling, crying.
People don't often think about the long effect that tattoos will have on their body. Things change. That's why I put mine on my shoulder, because I was like, if I gain weight anywhere, probably one of the last things is probably going to be my shoulders. Like if anything, like my burns are going to get all like sad and droopy. Like it's
a pretty stable piece of like
it's not going to turn into like, I don't know, a lobster, for instance.
An Adderall. So yeah.
Wow. That's insane. I've never actually met someone who had like that kind of addiction.
Girl.
I've known a lot of alcoholics.
This a miracle.
I know myself.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That part. I hit 12 back I was like June 14th. So it was 12 years, and then prior to that, so it was I was like the kid that was like the total square, ASB president, captain of the cheerleading team, golf team, and a Christian rock band. But I was so desperate to look like Kate Moss that I was like, it just went hand in hand. And then, all of how us women roll, it's like some trauma here, a little trauma there, let me do a little bit of this. And then that rolled into narcotics. And then I got hooked on pain pills because that wasn't my problem. Oh, and of course I was like smashing at least a 5th of vodka a day.
Yeah.
Ooh, just raging.
Girl, it's always
She's like, she already dropped a C-bomb.
No, it's amazing because it's one of those things too that like when you have an addiction that you don't want to address, you're just like, it's not an addiction because I use it because I do it because, and it's like you're just justifying it to yourself, and everyone's like, are you okay? And you're like, I'm fine.
It's real.
I don't have a problem. And it's funny because growing up, I too was like Christian, homeschooled. I was very like, I care about my grades and I'm going to be a veterinarian. And, it gets to a point too, I feel like you get, exactly. But you get all that pressure put on you and you're just like, well, now you expect me to up or you expect me to do this, so I might as well go up everything. Like,
you just burn it all to the ground. Yeah. That part.
I don't know, like the burn it to the ground mentality was definitely my adolescence.
Still have all my teeth though, so
yeah, that's nice. That's real good.
Yep. Avoided prison somehow. Talked my way out of a paper bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you don't mind me asking, like, what gave you like kind of the will to be like, all right, this is a problem that I don't want to deal with anymore?
Well, I had like 4 felonies hanging over my head, so there's that part, which is, and we were innocent. I'm just gonna put that out there. It was like some ridiculous charge of financial elder abuse. It was my ex's mom who had aphasia, so she had a stroke, so she didn't remember anyway, and so she'd written me checks because we were all spun out. Like, I was a productive tweaker. I would come in and remodel, like, scrape the popcorn ceiling off and retexture it and, like, paint in, like, perfectly cut in, repaint the walls, floors, fix your credit.
You're like, if I'm going to be awake and tweaking, then I'm going to get
Exactly.
You're not going to just waste your time.
No, I'm not going to, like, pour out nuts and bolts and screws and reorganize them and dump them out again or rob a liquor store. Like, I got to do, so... But yeah,
I got house renovations, man. I don't know why you guys do meth. But
well, there are the functioning ones, like,
Yeah. No,
I've seen them.
Well,
I have
true.
them in my family.
There's
same.
Yeah,
well,
functioning addicts. It's
yeah,
like,
I mean, there's bad too.
but it's
There's
also
the
like
bad, and then there's like the one that's.
I feel like it's like how you can say like functioning right, but it's like you're still not functioning.
Not.
But and it's funny to say that because it's like, oh yeah, you're like I'm functioning, I'm fine, like I don't have a problem, because and it's like even other people around you might not know. Like when I told you when I was drinking 3 bottles of wine a day, you were like, what?
Yeah, because I mean I drink
like,
and I would be like,
and you were around me too
but I had no clue.
You would have no idea.
Right, that's the wild part.
Yeah.
I'd be straight up blacked out. People are like, "You what? You don't remember?" I'm like, yeah, no, bitch. I fell down 2 flights of stairs and had 3 grown men throw me out of a bar. I don't recall a thing.
Damn.
So yeah.
But also, I guess you have to hold yourself really well, doing all that, because you have no idea like what's going on behind closed doors. Like,
that
damn.
part. Yeah. So you can never judge a book by its cover.
No.
So,
Never.
That part.
Is that how you got into like the whole fitness realm?
Yeah,
It's kind of
you're
like
good at this.
I'm kind of wondering because so for me I did the same. That's when I quit drinking.
Yeah.
I started dating my now boyfriend and he was very into fitness and I'd always like
Is he territorial?
active.
Because you're fine as
No.
Okay, good.
No, he's not. He's not insecure. That's all me.
She owns that.
You're fine as
Insecurity is mine and you can't have it.
I have a
I
thing
know.
for redheads, and my husband's bald, so I'm like left with his arm hair. I'm like, thanks.
That's all right.
So-
I can send you a real nice photo of me with just the hair really well done. Laura can do it up real nice, and then you can just like put his face where my face is. And you just if only you had a man's red hair, baby.
That's cute.
Love that.
But to answer your question, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I made that, well, in the beginning days, as we say in 12-step recovery, my higher power, and that became my new addiction, even though it kept me off of meth and drinking for a while, but then I hurt my back, and then I had 3 months clean and sober, and then I was selling cars at the time. Yeah, I was like the internet sales manager for 8 car dealerships, just fucking hammered. Yeah, come and test drive, Bob. Woo! I mean, I sold a lot of cars, but whoa.
Hey, buddy, come on
Yeah, drive a car. I don't give a what you do. Basically, we own this for $12,000. Just give me $1 over, it'll be fine. All bad. So that worked for a bit, and then I got hooked on pain pills because one of my customers was like, "Oh, your back hurts," because I was moving a refrigerator wrong. And then I dabbled in I'll just say nude modeling on the side, like in my early days when I was I did a few other things, but we'll just whatever. Yeah, I was like, oh, do I go there? Like, cause
Nude modeling?
Maybe later. No, beyond that. So, yeah, I've always liked girls. But anyway, nude modeling, and I was on Craigslist looking at, because that's what you do when you sell cars. Looking for...
Oh, that's where my ex tried to, like, auction off my to, like, the biggest cock.
Is Craigslist still around?
I don't know,
The back
but
pages? No.
there's some scary shit.
Hey, for real.
There's some scary people.
Yeah.
I've met some
Craigslist.
characters. Get some
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those like acronyms.
It wasn't their fault.
Like,
I would also like to go on
what does
record
that
because I know that I've talked a bit about this before. I'd like to go on record as saying like predominantly any of the people that I maybe was forced to have sex with, they had no idea. It's not like they were doing something to me. So I would like that to go out there. Like don't be like, who are they? They didn't know. They were fine.
Touch your balls.
I'm on my way.
They were fine. They were just there. They were just the dick. Like that was all. It wasn't their fault.
Stunt dicks.
Stud dick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yes, Craigslist, and I was looking for nude modeling jobs because at the time I fast forward a little bit, needed to support my pain pill habit.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this ad that said muscular calf video shoot, ballerinas and athletes must apply, and it was like $125 an hour, and I was like, what's this? I was like, all right, sounds like porn. Click, click. Took a picture of my calves, sent that off, and then the next day, dude was up in my office, and he was talking about clips for sale.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So this was like 12 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then went down, and the rest was history. I started out with so he and I had a clip store, and it was the calf fetish thing. So I'm up in his wife's closet, like trying to get her purses down, and then he had me scissor him. He was on the tripod. He's like, okay, now put your legs around my neck, and da-da-da. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my god, I thought you meant like scissoring, like
Yeah,
in the
that's what
movies
I
that I make. Like you're just there, like slapping your vagina against his balls, and he's just like, ah.
That's what I thought too.
No, like
Gotta get the Reddit clickbait, for the GIF. Like,
scissor me timbers.
that's always the funniest
that's
thing.
a shirt.
I swear to God, scissoring. I every now and then, if you get somebody who's actually down to try to make it work, you can maybe grind out with scissoring, but it doesn't look good on camera. Anytime that there's like scissoring in a porn, I'm like, this is an ad moment. They're gonna make a GIF out of this and spam it all over Reddit. Like we're like, and it's like,
It's really just for that. Really,
sometimes
it doesn't feel good.
bruise your groin, man. Some of these girls go hard. And I'm just like, all right. Not all of us are used to getting slammed.
Let me get my cup next time.
Just a little protection barrier.
Yeah.
Let's grind on a pillow together. Anyway, so as far as clips for sale, then you do kind of more like, was it like fetish-y based stuff, like very specific body part type stuff?
Yeah, so it started off as like, scissoring, and then I got on a webcam and learned about the whole industry from there.
Okay.
It was absolutely mind blown. Like, I just had no clue. So for a girl who grew up wanting to be Kate Moss, and have a thigh gap, and because I don't know how old you are, but I know I don't look a day over 21, bitch, but I'm almost 41. So
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
Kate Moss was the thing, and like clearly her leg is like the size of my forearm, so that was never going to be a possibility. So I was just shocked. I was like, there is a whole world of men who want to see bigger, stronger, don't give a flying fuck about some bullshit cellulite I think I have. That's kept me in the house. I mean, it didn't like instantly cure my body image issues, right?
No.
But
it starts to give you an idea of like, oh, regardless of how I see myself, there's someone.
Oh yeah.
And usually more than one someone.
Yeah.
Who wants to see naked? And also, I'm sorry, it's also best to remind yourself always that they're men. I'm sorry, guys, but
Y'all
you guys
are weird.
want, and if it's any titty, I know that for a fact. Any titty, if you haven't seen it, you want to see it.
Yeah,
like any little bit that you haven't seen before, you want to see because you're guys.
Or like I say weird. I mean stay weird. Like I love weird. Weird makes the world go round.
I say that all the time because I always say I get weird customs, and I never want people to be put off by that because I'm weird.
Yeah,
I've always been weird.
We embrace the weird.
But we say weird.
Laura's wearing sunglasses inside right now.
I don't know why. I'm just weird.
But
You
no,
know,
I mean
but I'm
weird.
feeling
Like
it.
dudes are just into weird. Like, so we could be like, let's have a glass. Well, you and I can't, but we'd be like, oh, let's have a glass of wine and cuddle and like have a chat, and then, oh yeah, look, okay, now all of a sudden we're vaginas are touching, and oh great. But dudes are like, let me act like a fucking coffee table and put a cigarette out on my forehead. That'll get me off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, what?
No, it's a lot. It's a big path because I do have a lot of female fans too. I'm not only fans. Hello, ladies. And,
Hey.
and I love when you ladies. I'm sorry, guys. I used to call everyone guys, but when y'all ladies leave voicemails, and guys too, I love them so much. Just a reminder: anchor.fm/TWND because I love to hear guys' voices. But all the weird requests all the fun stuff, like the really fun stuff to make that you're just like, what am I doing?
Right.
That's the guy.
Legit.
You know what I mean? It just goes. I've talked about him before. My little tiny man that I get to throw around.
That's a big one.
Just grab my phone and just like chuck him across the room. I'm just like, I'll step on you, and he loves it. And I thank you, Shane. You make my days better.
Shane got a shout out.
Yes, he did.
But I mean, there is some stuff that, you know, I definitely was like, no, you couldn't pay me. I was offered 10 grand to like step on mice, you know, because there's like the giantess theme, you know, like stomping on toy cars and smashing cereal boxes and breaking desks and also the whole gamut. But like I had to draw the line somewhere. I'm like, I don't even snails. I was like, nah,
yeah,
no.
not something live.
No,
I can't.
just no.
It's not in you.
Nah. And then the, you know, can you drive over my face? I'm like, no, dude, I don't have a waiver set up for that. Like,
I don't have the paperwork.
Yeah, no.
So I'm gonna check with legal.
Well, yeah, I know. My legal department's on vacation. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. Like, what? But yeah, it was a huge eye opener to be like, okay, the world is not what we think it is at all. And
there's so much out there. The internet is full of everything scary and terrifying and wonderful all at the same time.
Right?
It's a cesspool and also a wonderland. Like
yeah. And it's been a total trip, but it has absolutely like revolutionized my life. So like from that point, learning that and then getting in that world and coming out the other side. So that's how I met my husband. He flew me out to Australia with my ex at the time to wrestle. And he was my first client, if you will. And I just got in a huge fight with my ex and it was kind of love at first sight, but you know, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know. And then 4 months later we got married.
Wow.
Yeah, my first sponsor was like, that's the most alcoholic fucking thing I've ever heard. I was like, oh my God, how dare you?
How should I have my happiness?
Yeah, that's messed up. And at that point, though, I was still, like, obsessed with my body image. You know what I mean? Like, I put down the drugs and alcohol, but from childhood trauma. And I hate that word because it's so loaded. Trauma. Like,
yeah, no, I say it all the time because we talk about it to death here, especially is mental health. Because honestly, when I did stop therapy, my therapist was like, you know what? I think you should try to start doing things on your own. She's like, keep doing the podcast. So we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as someone who before was just like, oh, like trauma isn't real, gaslighting isn't real, therapy doesn't help, it's for crazy people. It's like, that was all fed to me by people who did not want me to feel better.
right. Your captor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like I always tell everybody, like, and especially men too, because I feel like there's I notice this a lot with men who aren't. It's like you're taught to just kind of like hold all that down, and like we were taught that too, but I feel like it's much more pushed on guys to like hold it all inside and you'll figure it out. But it's like you don't need to. You can have people to help you through things that are difficult. Just like asking for directions, you can do that.
That's hysterical. I mean? You're quick-witted as fuck. No, really, my sessions, like the first half hour of them, would be therapy for them because I'd be legitimately curious, like. Okay, you are a hot ass 27-year-old. I wrote about this is a whole chapter in my book. It's called "Busting My Balls," and this was at the height.
Have you busted balls? Like, have you actually? Like, we should do that together. I've always wanted to do that.
We can.
I don't know why I'm like grabbing my boob right now. I'm sorry.
I don't know either, but I was like,
just the one.
I'd grab one too if I had one, but I'm like, I don't know where it went.
It's alright, I bought these. I never had it.
I bought mine. Had to get them taken out. Hot mess. I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, busting my balls. And he was this, and this was at the height I was addicted to. I went from like Vicodin to Norco to then Oxycontin. So it was like the progression in the last 6 months was really quick. I mean, I was a hot mess. And I just ran out. And I'm like, I'm like zipping up my latex boots and shit, like shoving almonds in my mouth because I'm on the road touring in a hotel in some fucking shitty Best Western. It's all depressing and the mirror's all just fucking gross. And he's like, he calls, he's all, hey, is there like a side door I can come in? I've got this box. I'm like, fuck it, man, just come in, own it. Hang up the phone, like in the background I've got like Huey Lewis playing. You're probably too young to know who that is.
I know who Huey Lewis is.
Okay, but you know,
American Psycho, man.
There you go.
He talks about it to death.
There you go. It's the jam. It's all. I want a new drug, right? I want a new drug. Won't make me sick. And so that's playing, and I'm like, all right, fuck, here we go. And then I open the door, and he's legitimately got this like. it was, now I understand, this huge ass contraption he built. And it was like from Home Depot. He had pot plants as legs and these doors that folded in and out. This little janky ass square with like a lock and bolt thing that he made to put his balls through. And I'm like, dude, did you do this in your hotel room? Because he was traveling. And he was this gorgeous, like, 27-year-old accountant. And I'm like, how do you get from CPA to this?
That's always the curiosity for me with kinks and fetishes.
Right.
And as I've said before, remember, there are differences between kinks and fetishes. Fetish is you pretty much can't come without this certain thing. Kink is, oh, I like this. I would like to have this more. That's a kink. Yeah. So just remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
The more you know.
The more you know, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh.
You know what's interesting about it too? I wonder if there's a reverse, right? Like, because I have known of a lot of guys who like to get their balls kicked in, and I just don't. Are there women who like to just get kicked directly in the cunt? Like,
no. If you're out there, call me. I'm curious. I'm actually producing
Please
a
call
docu-series.
and leave
I
a voice
need you.
message and let us know your
Call legal.
enjoy that.
Legal's back in the office. We need you.
man, one of my ex's favorite things to do is come up and just hit me or kick me in the cunt.
Oh, how about that?
It wasn't fun. I didn't
Fucked
like
up.
develop a fetish for it, so please don't ever do that.
Yeah,
if
don't
you meet me.
confuse
Like,
that.
I'm not. No, not for me. Thank you. Laura, is the desert hot?
As hell.
As hell. Some may feel run down in the heat of summer. Do you ever feel run down?
Yeah. Every day.
Do you ever feel like you just don't want to get out of bed?
I mean, sometimes.
Like, it's difficult.
It's that hot. You're miserable.
You stopped drinking coffee. Laura, where will you get your energy? How will you keep your skin?
It's been hard.
How will you keep your skin so dewy and beautiful?
It's hard. It's really hard. I gotta drink a lot of water.
You have to drink so much water, and then you have to pee all the time.
I'm running to the bathroom like
constantly.
Yeah.
You're always peeing. But you never feel fully hydrated.
Never. With this heat, how can you
How do you do it? Laura, I have good news for you. Did you know that 1 stick of liquid IV, when dissolved in 16 ounces of water, hydrates better and faster than water alone?
Damn.
Would you like to try some liquid IV?
I would, actually.
Which flavor would you like? They have provided us pina colada.
Ooh.
They have golden cherry. Highly recommend, one of my personal favorites.
That sounds good.
They have acai berry. And also passion fruit, which I have already begun using, as well as the golden cherry.
Damn. Let's do the golden cherry. That sounds really good.
Open the package, Laura. Do you like the packaging?
I love it.
It's really my favorite color. I really like it.
This is great. I mean, and it's slim, so you can just stack your
You can
cabinets.
just slide it right in. Slide it right in with liquid IV.
All right, let's do this.
I don't know. All right.
So the whole thing, right?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, I have a spoon. So that
Luckily.
what I prefer to do is to put it in my blender bottle and just that's how I start my mornings, actually, because I am always dehydrated. I do it before I even have my coffee in the morning. True story, literally every morning here in Vegas, especially during the summer. So Laura, let me know what you think of golden cherry.
Ooh, nice.
It's become my personal favorite.
Thanks. Cheers, everyone. Dude, that is good.
I know.
That is really good. And it's not sweet, but it has a good flavor. You could definitely taste the cherry in that. That's
so good. So highly recommend golden cherry.
delicious.
Now, if you guys go to liquidiv.com and use code TWND at checkout, you will save. You will save.
Drum roll.
Hi, this is David with a quick interruption real quickly. Liquid IV, still on, still great, still doing its thing. Same code, TWND, all that stuff, but save 15%. when you use the code TWND podcast.
You might be dehydrated. You might be. You'll never know unless you try. So, Laura, can we tell them a little bit more about Liquid IV?
Yeah, I would love to.
I mean, you'd never heard of it before, but you just have these cards here that are just so useful for our visual viewers. So, Liquid IV has 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, which is just electrolytes. It's what plants crave. All right.
Yep.
What else? Vitamins. B3, B5, B6, B12, all of the best Bs, and vitamin C, which you need because people be getting sick. So don't get sick. Use vitamins.
Yeah.
I mean, you might still get sick, but you might get sick less. You might. All right. It's non-GMO. It's free from gluten. Oh, gluten's so scary. Dairy, which is fantastic because why would you mix dairy
With water.
with water? It's also great for those who are lactose intolerant like me. And, you can confidently say that the dairy that is lacking from Liquid IV sticks is just tremendously saving for your butthole. And I know that you guys relate. Liquid IV has also donated. They are trying to change the world, guys. They're trying to change the world. They're trying to hydrate the world. They have donated over 20 million servings globally. That's like so many more than 2 million.
We love
so
you.
many more. It's 20 million. That's crazy. So
Thank you, Liquid IV.
if you guys want to experience better hydration today, then you should go to liquidiv.com and you
Again, save 15% off on all the stuff, all the flavors, like pineapple. Pineapple sounds good. I like the watermelon. The watermelon's great. If you don't like watermelon, I don't know what's wrong with you.
So yeah, it was super fascinating, and I'd always ask, I'm like, how did this start? And for this guy, it was just literally like the lifting of my foot. It wasn't like the actual
impact.
The impact, because there's plenty that with the impact, but he said he was, and for a majority of them, they're young
It's
in their adolescence.
It's a childhood type. Like, this is, I'm learning my body, and all of a sudden,
and
stimuli.
the wiring of their brain and whatever else.
Yeah.
And he said there was like a soda can rolling around in the street, and he watched a car. He was with his parents, and it just crushed it. And so it kind of went from like that crushing sensation to building into this ball busting thing, and
That's
just
wild.
yeah, it was
The
super
trajectory
fascinating.
is crazy. How it's like maybe he could have had, and somebody else probably saw the same thing, right? And maybe they just have a totally different fetish,
Right? 100%. The mice,
right? Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these, I'm like, man, how do you come up with that?
Serious. It's so fascinating. So yeah, it was a very interesting time. But then also, seeing like I had a federal judge, FBI agent, pediatrician, lawyers, down to car mechanics and computer programmers and kids right out of college. So there's no, because when people I think they hear this kind of stuff, they're like, oh, are you a pro dom? I'm like, don't call me mistress, don't call me goddess.
Yeah.
My name is fucking Kortney. I'm an athlete, and I'm
My
here
name
to
is
be
Kortney.
strong.
I'm here to kick your balls.
Exactly, and I'm here to get paid.
I'm here to get paid.
I'm here to get
kick
paid
nuts.
and be the best. Oh my god.
Cashing checks and busting nuts.
That's another shirt.
Hell yeah.
Do you want to drop in my clothing line?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's have a partnership. Let's fucking do it.
let's do it.
I'm so
We can make
Let's do a
stickers, shirts.
collab.
A collab.
Collab.
I love it.
So-
Actually, how did you get into making like your own clothing brand and
Oh,
such?
girl.
How long has it been?
7 years.
Yes, that is the name.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
GRRRL. If everybody catches that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a great question. So when I met my husband, as I said, and then we got married, he was cool with me doing what I was doing because he knew I was pretty good at setting boundaries. I pushed the envelope a few times when I was high and whatnot, but for the most part, I was like, whatever. And so I kept doing it for a year, but I was still searching for. I was so miserable. Like I was like 6 months clean and sober when I met him, so there's that for a start, right? So I had the maturity level of a 12-year-old, and but my body dysmorphia was so bad. Like I'd eat, frozen yogurt with like sliced shaved almonds. I'm like, yeah, too many fucking almonds on it. I'm gonna have to get up like 20 minutes earlier and do my abs and then fucking like just obsessed. I don't really have solid good memories because I was always in my head obsessing on how I looked, right? You fully get it.
Yep.
And so I got to the point at the end of that year and I was like, I am not fulfilled I'm not, this isn't doing it for me. I want women to know that there's a woman out there with calves, because I'd cry because I couldn't fit my boots over my 18-inch calves.
And do you know, like the whole calf thing too, like I can work out all day, like my calves are just like always the same.
Mine are huge
like it's a gift
and always
to have
have been.
big old calves, you know what I mean? Like it's a gift. Some people like will train just to like try to get like maybe half of the definition they just naturally have. And you know what I mean?
That's the jam.
That's the way to look at it, because it's like that whole thing. We're never satisfied as people, and that's just we just aren't. That's why we just keep living. It's why we keep trying to do things or trying to achieve things. We're never satisfied, but there has to be a point where you look to and be like, okay, so this thing I don't like about myself, somebody else would pay money or work very hard.
Thank you.
Or
that
be
is
envious of what I don't even have to like.
That is what I'm screaming,
about.
And it's difficult because as much as that message I want to talk about right now, I've got a lot of young girls that follow me, and I'll tell you how that transition happened. But I'm like, whatever you hate about your body, there's somebody on the internet looking for it. Saggy titties, go look it up. There's pages of it. You know what I mean? So, and you're right. Perspective is so powerful. And that's what I would be like. If I had $1 for every time a man was like, God, I wish I had your legs. I'd be like, bitch, I'd be kicking Richard Branson off his island and be like, you're out. I'm in, motherfucker.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is like when it gets down to it, it's like, you know, you can have the insecurities about yourself and how you look, and everybody has that. Like even if you even if you recognize that they're insecurities, you know, it's still, I still get those times where it's like I can recognize like you're being stupid, you know, like you're being way too hard on yourself, but it's still there in you.
Right.
And it's even whispering. And it's different too to look at like, hey, no matter what you look like, no matter how hard you train or don't train or whatever aesthetic you're trying to get, none of that matters either. It's really what's the inside that matters. And I know that sounds kind of just very broad to say, but at the end of the day, it's like everything is so superficial, especially social media, because everyone's selling something.
Exactly.
Everyone's selling something, but that's exactly. And it's like, but we don't put all of that. Like that's not you. That's just a part of you.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, regardless of what you look like who gives a shit? Like as long as you can look at yourself at the end of the day and be happy with kind of like who you are as a person and how you treat other people, that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
Can you sleep at night?
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. Let me get to that part of the story, because that's exactly what I say is when I put my head on my pillow at night, I sleep knowing like I'm a good fucking person. Because what happened was I told my husband, I said, hey, I want to talk to women. I want to grab women off the street and be like, hey, did you know some motherfucker will pay you $400 an hour to worship your calf muscles? No sex. You could wear a bikini. You could wear a mini skirt. Like I was so desperate to share this world, this muscle fetish industry with women that, you know, that was what I wanted to do. And so we kind of like, all right, let's build this brand. And I called it Confidence by Kortney, and I was going to do YouTube. Yeah, it's tattooed on my back, so I hope you like it.
That's really cool.
It's
there to stay.
We call it the tramp stamp.
It's just like a reminder now to yourself. You're like, you have to be confident.
Yeah, that part.
That's really good.
That part. Somebody asked me the other day if I was like a former Crip because I spelled it with a K. I'm like, no. Didn't quite get that far. No. I thought I was hard. I had a sawed-off shotgun and a lowrider, but I mean, I'm from Humboldt County. I don't know if you know where that's at.
Yeah.
You know where that's at?
Oh yeah, the Greens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Amsterdam of North America.
So good.
I got one brother who's the head of the SWAT drug task force up there, and one brother who grows weed, and one brother. No, for real, one brother busted the other brother, and legit, they just saw each other for the first time at my parents' 30th wedding anniversary. Like a week ago, so it was intense. But so I wanted to. Oh, there's more to the story, but
this is amazing.
Well, we'll have round 2
so
later.
Intrigued.
But we had we decided, all right, we'll build this brand, and then my husband got a job as the CEO of a national rugby team, which is like the equivalent of our Raiders. So your boy would know about it, right?
Yeah, I know, but
rugby league. So it's the Gold Coast Titans,
cool.
And I'd come on as the assistant strength training coach for the under 20s, and it was a volunteer job, and a reporter found out, just did a little bit of digging around on the internet, my last name, I kept my last name, so he looked into my short background, and found the clip store. I did it at that point. I had like one nude shoot out on the internet, so some topless. Well, there was full nudes on there, whatever. And then scandalous,
Man,
trashy hoe.
I hope nobody finds the nude photos of me on the internet.
So ridiculous. The fuck. But legit pulled like stuff off my Facebook, and the way they positioned it and put it on the front page of the paper, it was CEO hires ex-fetish porn star wife to train the under 20s. And the piece he wrote was like, I was this trashy, dirty, disgusting, vulgar tramp, and how dare my husband bring me into this organization, because that's all they talk about out there is their football teams. There's not a lot going on, and they call it the tall poppy syndrome. They like to cut people down in Australia. They don't like to see other people have success. Like it's super strange. So the day before that happened, though, I applied with Big Brother Big Sister, because I was like, I want to work with teenage girls and be like, hey, here's what alcoholism is. Don't send pictures of your titties when you're 12 to some dirtbag who's 21 to buy you beer, and here's why. They might end up on the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald.
Yeah.
So that story broke, and whilst all that was going down, it was interesting, because if anybody that's listening that's a woman, everybody should watch it, but it's called Killing Us Softly by Jean Kilbourne. And this woman has been having the same talk since the 70s, cutting out articles and newspaper clippings and advertisements on how women are portrayed in the media, right? So all of it, like push-up bras and how we do, the commercials out there, laundry, school pickup, dishes, fucking cleaning toilets. Men are barbecuing, changing tires on 4X Island, drinking beer, so I had just also had this awareness. And that's what I think is so great about your podcast, is that they're creating awareness and conversations, because this is such a taboo subject for a lot of people, and they live their life like, because that's the thing with most of these guys, they're so hush hush, and that's why I'm like, fuck it.
Well, something that is beautiful about the internet, as horrible as a lot of the internet can be, is that it's given people a voice that really can't be fully silenced, which is, a very powerful thing. So, for instance, my ex was never a fan of anything like podcasts or stand-up comedy or anything basically where somebody else was talking, because then he couldn't be talking. So,
oh God.
But after when I was going through all that and spent a lot of time on my own, because we separated shortly, like before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time on my own, just got into the podcast, and it was like the ability to feel a connection and a familiarity with someone that you were listening to, where maybe you could relate in one way or another. And then it just kind of goes to show that no matter what you're feeling, and my therapist told me this, and for some reason it took me until she said it to figure it out, but no matter how you're feeling, everyone else has felt it at least once.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone in your feelings.
Shit.
And the more that you talk about something, it's like from, Harry Potter, fear of the name increases fear of the thing itself. So, talk about Voldemort and drugs and sex and anything or mental health or any of that stuff. Because the more you talk about it, the less scary it is, and the easier it is to talk about it. And the more people know and continue the conversation. And that's the biggest thing I could hope from, this, kind of podcast. Because whether it's we're laughing or we're talking about something deep, it's like, hey, at least people are listening. And if they can laugh and learn that even the traumatic things and the trauma, the big scary trauma, isn't as scary when you can laugh about it.
It's exactly right. You gotta be able to laugh at yourself, and life is not that serious.
No, it shouldn't be. It's so miserable when it is.
Truly. But when you get it out of your head, it makes so much more sense. That's when you have aha moments. That's why we go to therapy, right? Because up here, it's treacherous territory by yourself.
Oh,
so
it's scary to navigate.
Scary. Put on a seatbelt and a helmet.
Yeah.
So, elbow pads, arm floaties.
All of
Sign
it.
the waiver.
Sign the waiver.
Sign the waiver.
The death waiver.
We are not responsible for what goes on in there.
And one of the coolest things about therapy too is not even like, oh, I'm fixed. It's that it's kind of the realization that you're never going to be fixed. It's that there's always going to be new adversities and new things to overcome and new situations and new people.
Yeah.
And it just gives you like the tools to be able to figure it out when that kind of stuff happens or when it goes wrong.
Like that. So led into the whole country shut down for Christmas because they do it right out there, right? And I didn't forget about it, but I was like, whatever, you could call me a sheep fucker. I know I haven't fucked any sheep, so say what you want.
Yeah,
right?
You're not from New Zealand.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just kidding.
No, for real. Well, some New
Sorry,
Zealand.
you're from New Zealand. It's a joke. I love New Zealand.
An All Blacks player, rugby union player, like he had married a proper porn star a year prior, and the whole country was high-fiving him. But then all of a sudden, a year later, I came on the scene. It was like,
Well, that's because you weren't just a trophy wife. You were someone who was actually working, and maybe you were knowledgeable in what you're doing.
well, it's because I was a female doing, you know, like
doing what a man should be doing,
or what they're watching, like
or what their fetish is. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
And I mean, in my clip store too, it was like me crushing watermelons, you know. So
I saw you have a watermelon crushing program on your link tree. I
do.
looked at it. I was like,
I get so mad. Can you?
The way that you titled it, I seriously thought, I was like, is this OnlyFans? Like, it's just like a a masked way to say OnlyFans. I was like, oh no, it's actually to crush watermelon.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I haven't figured out that piece yet because we'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. But yeah, it's well, now that I see dudes doing it, and I'm like, can you just back the fuck up off of something of ours, please? Because it's like I did it in a session, and that's how I got started doing it. Some guy was like, do you think you can knock me out? I only had 2 girls knock me out in 20 years. I was like, oh yeah, motherfucker, I love a challenge. And he brought the watermelons, and he had a blue tarp, you know, the painter's tarp in his office. I was high as shit, no windows, locked the door, come in. I put his chairs down, I'm sideways in a figure 4, and I start fucking putting it on him, and pop, I hear this loud pop, and he's out, and I'm lifeless for like a good 10 seconds. I'm like, I broke his neck, he's dead. I'm looking at the tarp, I'm looking at him, tarp him, and I'm like,
am I gonna have to roll this body?
yeah, I'm like, am I on punked? Like, oh, so high, oh my god, my anus fell through. I mean, my heart fell through my anus. You're like, wait, whoa, wait, what?
Wait, where did your anus
Back up.
Slow down.
Back up, but not too fast, because it's not anus
We
we're
need
talking about.
that. We need that for the life.
But I let him go, and then, you know, shortly after he came to, and then I had so much adrenaline pumping in my body that I was like, yeah, let's do these watermelons, and we filmed it, and then that shit, you know, then that was the rest of the story. But it's now turned into a thing of women empowerment, because it's like, how many women are, I'm not strong, or I can't do that. I'm like, bitch, have you had kids? Like, you push a tiny human out of your body. I don't have kids because I throw them off a balcony and go to prison, but we were built to, you know what I mean?
Same.
And then, of course, the tattoo, right?
Yeah, you don't want a lobster.
Exactly.
You have goals.
Right. Fuck. So, you know, it's like you push a baby out of your body and get back to work. My husband gets kicked in the balls and it's game over. Like, come on, let's change our mindset here.
Well, what's cool is that you look on TikTok and you get the girls who are like the leg girls. They're just powerlifting the fuck out of things and making guys go like, oh my god, that's my warm-up set. And it's like, I feel like there's a lot of power that women have in
there's a huge transition.
Regions. And I was going to bring this up, so curiously, just wondering if you have a powerful pelvic floor as well. I was doing chin-ups. I was doing chin-ups in Australia, and I hadn't masturbated in a while, and we hadn't had sex in a while because on my period, all this crazy shit. So I finally go in, do my chin-ups after like 2 weeks of not really working out that much, just being like, eh. And I made myself come from chin-ups, just from the tension in here when you pull, like in the lower. And I was just wondering if like it was lifting anything very heavy, or if anything like that, if you'd ever had kind of, not necessarily an orgasm, but like that kind of sensation in that area.
I'm sure I have. I think I'm so in my head. Like I'm so driven. Like my libido is like I just went and actually did a HRT consult because I'm like in perimenopause or some shit. But I'm like, because when in my 20s, I mean, I couldn't even tell you, over 100 easily. I mean, I've fucked so many. Oh my god, guys, girls, whatever. Like,
I know.
You know,
I feel you.
But and then
You fucked.
Yes,
You fucked.
Yes, and you know, a lot of that was acting out from trauma. Again, we don't use trigger warnings here, do we?
No.
I don't.
We just expect that if you listen to the show,
yeah.
you probably, this is a trigger warning.
Yeah, right? That's exactly.
I am a trigger warning.
100.
If I'm on here.
Yeah.
My middle name is Trigger Warning.
Another shirt. Fuck.
I
My middle name is Trigger Warning. Don't let me forget that.
I said retarded the other day, and David bleeped it, so thank you. I forgot you're not supposed to say that. I'm sorry. But I was referring to myself, so you know, it's kind of like, and it's not like, I do anything maliciously, but it's like you have to be so careful of everything that you say, and I'm someone who doesn't leave my house.
Yeah,
so it's also
that.
like, oh,
I get that.
sorry.
I get that.
Like, I'm not out here to like be offensive, and I think from the way that I speak, if anyone is going to take this out of context, then it's like, well, go fuck yourself.
You're right. Do that.
I've been saying shit on the internet for years, and it's like, things change and culture changes and the way that we speak changes and all of this changes and there's a lot of change very quickly. And it's like and controlling speech is like at the base level of just like I can't keep up with it.
It's a challenge. That's all you can do is try your best. So if we don't have a trigger warning, it's 3 days clean, my senior year, and I went and saw this boxing instructor who was supposed to be my new mentor. So he was an ex-junkie, Golden Gloves champion, and he was married to a nun. What could go wrong? And he was 72, and I was 17.
How did you get married to a nun? I thought they were
celibate, and they were
was
married.
she still celibate?
I have
married
no
to
clue.
the Lord.
I don't know what their situation was.
Maybe she retired
Maybe
from
he was
nun
the second
being a
coming
nun.
of Christ.
Maybe.
And she was like, I want this God dick.
Married to the Lord, this makes sense.
I mean, it just turned out bad. This motherfucker drugged me and woke up with him inside of me, and I was like, that just sent me down that whole 9-year path of like, because you know when you get assaulted, then you're like, all right, you tend to act out after the fact. So I lost my I lost my libido hard for like all through my 30s, and now I'm like, all right, that's enough. It's time to have some sex. So
I've heard great things about, because it's like the testosterone for women who are beginning to go through menopause, right, to help like bring back your sex drive and like help your skin, and I've heard that it is a great help. I would definitely do that when I reach that point, because I love being horny. It's fun.
Yeah,
I don't want to lose that. I want to stop being horny.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
kill me, right?
Give me dick. Or
give me dick.
Can
we clip that? Because I want to put that on a t-shirt as well.
Yeah.
Give me dick or give me death. I like it. But it could just be like an eggplant.
Yeah.
Like just the eggplant emoji.
I think that sounds great.
You were like the t-shirt wizard.
T-shirt.
I love it.
T-shirt guru.
T-shirt girl. Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
So fast forward that, and I'm really pleased that I haven't completely like lost my train of thought every 5 seconds, because that happens when you hit my age, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's happened to me. Like, it's been happening my entire life.
Yeah.
I think I might have
I
ADD.
didn't think that.
Yeah,
that happens often.
It might get worse. I'm here for you. Call me.
That's all right. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to get like.
I call you and I'm like,
old.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
But that's how it is. But they can't do anything because you're crazy and you're old. Like,
yeah,
it's
that
like,
part.
oh, they're crazy and old.
You're like, just look at my saggy tattoo back here. Just don't ask any questions.
This used to be a sparrow. It's now a manta ray.
And a lobster fucking. Just put them in there.
I need to get like one on either side of my shoulder blades, so when I flex, they can just like kiss in the middle.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get some on my feet so they can just attack each other.
Oh my god.
Dinosaurs or something. Dino feet.
I'm like, oh, I thought you were looking at my feet. These white ass, fretful and
No, look at it.
feet.
I have big feet too. Look at it.
Oh my god, you do.
I know.
You do. Right on.
She used to squish little Play-Doh dudes in high school.
Yep.
I make clips.
Girl, I've told you before, this was not in high school.
I was like, high school.
I still like it to think about it as if it was her in high school.
I was like,
I will refuse to think of it at any other time. It was high school, right?
I think you were confused because
Was it high school?
It was called Extra Lunch Money.
I can see where the
high school.
confusion lies.
It was high school.
That makes sense. That makes
But it
sense.
was a very kink clips, like custom focused website. And so it's all like
Was it high
weird shit,
school?
like take red lipstick and write whore on your butt cheeks, and like, oh, you squish a little Play-Doh man with your feet, and like,
I haven't.
put the camera in your mouth. It's like, what am I doing?
That's awesome.
But also, what are we doing now?
Same shit.
Same
like,
shit,
just
really.
progress. Like
Yeah,
we have Shane. I get to throw him around my house virtually.
I'm gonna have to join your OnlyFans.
You need
trip.
to.
Actually, one of my favorite things, and thank you to everyone on my OnlyFans, appreciate it very much, but it's my favorite to post like goofy outtakes or like really bad photos, and they typically get more likes than the really nice ones.
They do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's nice to not, and I think that helped a lot too, is like getting away from my ex who was like, you have to be very much this way, you have to look this way, and no matter how you look, it's never good enough. And then getting away from that and being like,
Boy,
I can post like the ugliest photo of myself, and people are like, yeah, that's great. Like I posted this really like down shot photo in my bikini out by the pool, like 3 chins, just
3 chins
and
deep.
I wrote POV, you're eating my pussy, and I just
that.
look like I'm dying, like. and it's not
huge traction on that one. Yeah.
Blew up.
See, I need to start taking notes because I only just started, I don't know, like 3 months ago or something, got back in it just because of the clothing line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, fast forward to that, after a month of Christmas shutting down, Big Brother, Big Sister called and they were like, sorry, we can't work with you because of the media, blah, blah, blah. So, cried for me. And then after, 10 minutes, I was like, fuck that. I'm going to start my own program ran by people who've been there and done that. And I created this program for teenage girls, teach them the 5 habits, lessons, and principles that lead to the development of self-love and the importance of sisterhood because we're bred to see each other as competition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. We had 62 girls come through. They were cutting themselves, all the rest of it. And then one of my partners got pregnant. And in the downtime, my husband, who's a marketing genius, was like, why don't you take the same mission and vision and roll that into a clothing line? Because I'm not a fashionista. Like, this is the only outfit I own that's matches.
It's so cute.
Thank you. You can borrow it.
Yes.
So, but that's how the line got started, and it's so tiring. I'm so tired.
No, girl, this is us. Laura,
All day.
When was last week that we were on this and we were like, I'm awake?
When was the last time when was that? Never.
When was the last time we slept is the better question.
Right?
I sleep, but it doesn't ever feel like I sleep.
No. I got
Like,
3
why am
hours.
I still tired?
Because we're getting old.
Fuck.
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's the planetary shit. I think we're all about to fucking ascend, or I don't know, enter into some new dimension or some shit.
I don't know what's
Shit's
gonna
not
happen,
making
man.
sense. I mean, don't get me started about this vaccine and fucking all the rest of it. Like,
It's just the entire insanity of the last 2 years is still has everybody reeling and acting like a cunt.
yeah,
We're still processing it all.
Yeah,
Still processing.
Still trying to figure it out. So
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's going to be interesting how the next few years are going to roll out and just see things getting back to normal, or maybe not. It just seems like you can't get a break with anything. You got, before the pandemic, we had all the wildfires all over Australia, and then you got like war, and you've got riots, and you've got just people just. It's like just a boiling point of shit.
The world is back, but it's not normal.
But
Nothing has been normal.
it's also one of those funny things, right? Too, where you hear about how bad shit is all the time, and and there are a lot of bad things, but there's always bad things. But it's kind of like on a day to day, I would say, like maybe I'm busy all the time, or maybe this thing is bad. But on a whole, things are good, and we have it so much better than, especially here in the United States, than in so many places.
Yeah.
Like we could be in Ukraine at the moment, and it's like I love how people have just like all of a sudden that's like not a thing anymore. Like nobody's talking about it, and it's always just this distractionary shit that keeps people fighting amongst each other over little shit that doesn't matter. It's like, don't look at the man behind the curtain bullshit.
Yeah,
100%. And it's just weaponizing many dramas amongst people to just keep people from knowing how like things are.
What's really going on?
It's like, hey, we tell you that you're miserable, so you're miserable. It's like, you don't have to be miserable. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah. You could get off your phone and stop fighting with people on the internet.
You could start an OnlyFans and, like...
Sell your feet.
So it's not that bad.
Squish Play-Doh.
Right?
Dudes.
But yeah, and it's funny, like, I was like, oh, it would be great, like, let's make some content, because, I mean, at the end of the day, I love eating pussy, I do, like, I love women, I mean, and that was, like, from the get-go with my husband, like, I said, hey, this is the problem that I have with my current relationship, so he knew everything out the gate, and then, so he was always like, all right, I have 2 rules, that you're safe and that you're happy. And that always made me want to be a better person, Yeah. But, and it's, but like if I watch porn, on the rare, whenever.
Then she watches my videos.
Yeah, it's all good.
Hey.
But yeah, it's girls together. It's a beautiful thing. Like women are just fucking beautiful.
I love it when women just... women,
women.
So, but at the same time, it's challenging, right? When I was like, "Is this a game show?" I thought I won something. I heard the little ding.
You win. What has she done?
Yeah,
deafness. You win a loss of hearing.
But hey, it's complicated, right? Because like I often say, your value is not equated to your exterior, and but then I turn around and I'm like, buy my exterior nowadays, or
no, and I totally understand. That's why, like, I tried to make, after the divorce, I tried to, like, change my whole business structure to be, instead of, like, oh, here's, this character that I've, cultivated over years and years and years, has little pieces of me, but a lot of shitty shit from my ex. I'm like, I'm just going to be weird. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to do things that push me outside my comfort zone, and I'll be weird, because, this is me. And if you don't like it, like, I can't just play, a character all the time. And it's like, people are accepting of that if you're just,
That's the
true
thing.
and authentic.
Right there. And that's what I'm like. I was just saying this the other day. Well, if you come out the gate and you own your shit. So in my memoir, it's like, it took me 10 years to write, but I'm talking about, yes, I took a shit in my friend's bathtub and wiped my ass with his girlfriend's white robe and thought it was the dog, and then went out for the California Highway Patrol oral board and physical the next morning, hungover as shit. Like, no stone unturned. But if you have, so like in recovery, you do your step work, you put pen to paper, you look at all the shit you did, you make your amends, you own it. You're like, yeah, that was me. That I'm human. What about it? And you right the wrongs, and you move on. And I still do weird shit, I mean, I'm not shitting in friends' bathtubs anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't done that in years.
Yeah, we'll just put that out there.
Do pools count?
I'm
kidding.
Laura did shit in my pool the other day, so I'm still upset about it.
I hope you filmed that.
Don't say anything.
Keep it on
Sorry,
the down low.
we have no secrets here at the Totally Wholesome Not Dirty.
that part. But yeah, it's if you own it and you accept it. So that's why a part of producing this docu-series on the muscle fetish industry, which is challenging because it's difficult to get guys to come out and talk about this stuff. But I'm like, look, the number one objective is for women to understand that beauty is not what is on the cover of a magazine. And hairy armpits, because we grow up thinking like, oh, it's disgusting, and like half the world is like, oh, well, let me pay you to grow your arm hair out. You're like, excuse me? Dirty feet, like all these things that we think are disgusting. It's and so the main objective is for women to understand that, and then of course for men to. And I understand in our world now, gender is not binary, but I'm 40 and I tend to refer to men and women. So forgive me if you'll
be all right here. We're
okay.
the same. It's like, it's always like, hey, it's respecting people.
Yeah.
If whatever your orientation, whatever you feel that your gender is or isn't, or whatever, go for it. More power to you. But just like, let me know. Don't be upset if I misspeak, because it's not my intention to harm.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
please understand.
people, I had someone tell me once that
Intent to harm and misunderstanding or unawareness or whatever is a totally different thing.
They're completely different. I can't remember what it was that she said. Something trumps impact, I think it was. And I'm like, yeah, well, I disagree. So,
I don't agree with that either, because it will have a different impact to anyone who hears
Right.
it or sees it or
Right.
consumes it. It will have a different impact to every single person. And unfortunately, there are so many people in the world with different varying
Right.
views that no matter what you say, it's going to have a negative impact on someone.
Correct.
Regardless. It could be something that you say about yourself. And someone could,
Get
take that.
upset
I
about
have
it.
that on TikTok all the fucking time. I'm like, I'm not talking about you. You do whatever you want to do. I'm talking about me.
Yeah, right.
This is my TikTok.
Damn. That's why, you know what? I'm kind of glad my third account got banned. I keep trying to get back on there, and I'm like, ugh.
I don't really understand it. The things that I think, wow, this is cool, it doesn't go off at all, and then something that's dumb is just
Flies
out
off
there.
the
But
handle.
I'm like, hey, people are finding me more through Instagram. I'm not shadow banned on TikTok like I am.
Interesting.
Twitter deleted my account after 10 years.
Stop.
And I'm on my 15th Instagram, which
Stop.
luckily, knock on whatever pretend wood I have, that it stays. But that's why I'm like,
Good
hey,
girl,
they aren't shadow banning me. So
props. That's huge that you keep building that back like that. Like, you must be about your business, because that is difficult to come back from.
yeah, I got
Yes.
dogs. They eat a lot. and I'm not going to pick up their poop, so,
Yeah. Girl works hard for the money.
Right?
My dog poop girl, I love her to death because she just smashes it, and I do not want to deal with it.
And she does it like
'Cause it's-
with a smile. She's
Yeah,
like,
and it's so ridiculous too because like I've always had at least one dog, but like 3 dogs, considering how small they are, I'm like the yard will be clean, and the very next day it just looks like it was never touched. Like
Right.
there's just shit everywhere.
We've got 3. That's
Yeah, it's a lot.
yeah, that part.
Yes.
So yeah, we I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have to check out your OF, and because I'm still navigating through the waters and figuring out how to best. Because like I said, there's this girl. Her name is Steffi Cohen, and she has a PhD, and she's built her following off of her body, right?
Okay.
And being strong and showing off her body, whatever. She's a power lifter. As far as PEDs, I don't know what her situation is. I mean, the numbers she's throwing up, I would, right?
Yeah.
Not my
You just
business.
never know. But
Not-
also, like, who gives a shit?
Exactly, not my business, but people that off whatever. So she said somebody asked her what's stopping her from making crazy money from a non-explicit OnlyFans, and her last point was so there was a number of points. I don't really need the money. My mom doesn't like the platform. I know it'll change the perception some people have of me in a negative way. But the last one was, I don't want to encourage younger girls to drop out of college because they can make easy money. Everything I stand for revolves around self-development and self-improvement, contributing value to society, living with purpose, and earning, in capital letters, what you want by acquiring skills and lifelong learning. And I just...
So that to me sounds like somebody who has obviously never experienced this job, because it is a very difficult job. And when I say job, I mean it is a job, but it's not even just a job. It's that it is a career under which you do many jobs.
Yeah,
because
easy
it is
money.
It is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, trust me, I popped on there and I was
Okay.
like, excuse me, I don't follow you,
That
first
made my
of all.
butthole clench because
Yeah, girl,
because
I
as
said
someone
that's my line.
because as
My
somebody
butthole clenched.
T-shirt.
Okay, t-shirt. Can that be like my collaboration? Like that will be like my shirt. It'll be like my butthole clench, like, or that made my butthole clench. But it's like for squats, like it's like your swung pump shirt, your pump cover.
I love that. Oh, it's so funny.
But as someone who has taught many people about OnlyFans, or not even just OnlyFans, but camming, content creation, all
Right.
of that kind of stuff, the biggest thing I tell anybody going into it, if they've never done it before, if it's something they're just thinking about, is that it is not easy money.
No.
And the reason that I can confidently say that is there may be points, especially if you're new, where the money can seem very easy. But if you do not progress as a performer, if you don't start getting to know your audience, if you don't constantly improve your shows, your content, the different things that you're putting your hands into, whether it's, photo shoots or video or working with companies or starting your
Building
own
a
stuff or
brand.
whatever it is, if you're not doing that, then you're going to fall off after they get bored of you putting out the same stuff. Or if you
Exactly.
basically enter it with an entirely fake personality with none of you in it, and then end up just becoming that person, then that's detrimental to your mental health as well, as someone who has done that. And this job was not my choice to get into. It is a job that is now what is available to me because of my ex-husband. And I don't say that even with like a negative thing, because at the time it was not something I was ready for, but now it is something that I love and
Yeah.
I have made into my own beast,
It's
whatever
your-
that is.
And that's the thing, it's empowering to you. It might not be to a woman who
and it might not
is,
be.
Muslim and feels empowered by being clothed.
Of
right?
course.
We all have different
Different things
different
that empower
jams,
us.
but how she put it out there was just so many women DM me and were like questioning their worth and how would you reply to this? I'm like, well, hold on, I'll be right over there. And of course I said like, well, first of all, I don't follow you because you crushed a watermelon and didn't tag me. That was salty. First of all, I'm like, that's my IP. I get bent out of shape because I'm like, especially when you're building a brand and then you see other people, because I don't know who comes from money or like, then you get into your whole negative self-talk like we were talking about earlier, like, oh, I could have done this differently or that differently. So I prefaced the conversation with that, but I was like, but let me just say it's complicated because on one hand, are we empowering are we empowering women, say, to leave a domestic violence relationship and they can go and sell pictures of their feet or what have you and have freedom? Or there are women who enjoy
And you
the
can also,
fuck out of doing this.
and you can do things that don't even show your face. And I actually know performers who they have not shown their face in anything that they've ever done, and they've done it for years.
Huh.
You know, it's like there are so many different ways and different comfort levels and so much within the industry. And OnlyFans itself wasn't just created for porn. It's just obviously
it started out
it's just
for bands.
it's just like with the internet. You know, porn is a driver of technology.
Corn!
Yeah, corn. The porn industry, all right.
Corn.
You know,
Shucking corns.
that was next level, y'all. But the other thing I did say though is because I recently made friends, like I had a close friend in Australia who is a sex addict, a proper, like I've never had met a female sex addict, and the only, you know, so I've been in the rooms of NA and AA and so forth, and 12-step recovery, and of course in our traditions I'm not a representative. This is no reflection of that.
This is just a conversation between people that you guys happen to be listening to. We are not doctors. Don't take our advice unless you want advice on something.
Anything.
But if you call in and want advice on something, just know that I'm not a professional.
But
none
I'll
of
charge
us
you.
are.
No, I'm just kidding.
I will charge you.
Kidding, not kidding.
Sometimes I'll do it for free, but anything that we say here should always just be taken with a grain of salt. And it's like,
Underrated.
and I always say this too because it's like, for instance, even for what we talk about or whatever, advice, you know, or even just our conversations and
Just
our
lived
views on things.
Yeah.
What works for us doesn't necessarily work for everyone, and
That's
we
right.
totally acknowledge that.
And it's important to mention it though, because you know she well, backing up, there was a movie, Pink was in it. It was called Thank You for Sharing, and it was about sex addiction. And I was like, whoa, this is an actual thing. Like I didn't know it could consume someone's life like this and then cause these kind of problems. And I always just thought it was just kind of like some slough off, like, yeah, okay, you have a sex addiction.
like, oh, you're just a whore.
Yeah, you know, but I know, like, in this day and age, and after like hearing her talk, because what's available right here and at a very young age, and how that starts, you know, 12, okay, the 13, 14, now I'm bored, now it's got to go up and up and up and more and more and more. So are we contributing, you know, to that, or are we empowering? Who's to say? Don't know, because
I think that it's different for everyone. It's like how
Exactly.
people can develop an addiction to anything. It's like, for me, I know what alcohol does to me. Some people, they're totally fine having a glass of wine. I was never that person. So it's like, okay, different strokes for different folks.
I don't
you know?
go out to Chevy's and bang on the door and be like, hey, excuse me, you need to take that fucking bar down behind there while I'm eating, because that totally offends me and I can't, this is life and death. You know what I mean?
And even conversely, you know, I have, and it's, I don't only have men, you know, to anyone who's like, oh, you just allow men to objectify you. Yes, that's the thing. I allow.
That's
allow.
That's the difference. So
For money, men to objectify me from afar. I don't even I'll see people. You know, like it's and what I feel like too is it gives those people a safer place to be able to maybe figure out why it is that they like the things that they do, or to be able to talk about it in a way that's productive with a potential actual partner.
And they can actually grow from it, or like you said, we talk and then have those aha moments, or maybe they they might heal some trauma.
Yeah.
So like, how great, we can have a conversation about it, but at the same time, it was the positioning of it.
Yes.
You know, that was quite damaging, because, you know, so many women, they're living their best life, and it's empowering to them, and the language that was used was just, I don't know, so
very
off.
dismissing.
So
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my like current, like, you know, because it's I wrote a book about this shit. Like it's out there. I don't have anything to hide. Like. And I'm in a very specific niche, you know, like scissoring, lift and carry. You can pick guys up and carry them around, arm wrestling, you know, feet, armpits, body parts, that kind of thing. So it's like, whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, well, am I, you know, confusing these girls, or not confusing them, but distracting them? Because I don't know at what age, because everything comes with balance, right? So are we being too sex positive at a young age and not letting kids be kids? You know,
I think that is an issue, but I also think one of the issues with that is that it's not necessarily over sexualizing kids or the youth or whatever it is. It's that regardless, most kids now, from what I've heard, have a phone when they're 7 years old.
Exactly.
And it's like,
this is true.
At the end of the day, isn't it on
What the fuck is your
parents
parent doing?
Because let me tell you, my parents did not, I love my parents, but they did not teach me the ways to be treated. They didn't teach me anything about sex. And it's like, that's why I get into all of the traumatic shit that I did. And it's not like, oh, I blame you or this. Like, I understand it was different times. It was the area I was living in. It was the culture. It was the religion, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's on people who are raising children to be able to talk with them openly and make them feel comfortable enough to approach you with questions about how, sex should be, how you should be treated, how your body should be
100%.
valued, and how you should value yourself before you let somebody else place value on you.
Yes. Ooh, I like
Agreed.
that.
T-shirt.
T-shirt. No, that's
For real.
that you just summed that up so eloquently. Like, that was
Preached.
beautiful. That was perfect. That was absolutely right. Because, in so many of them, like I watched when I was running Camp Confidence, and I was so hyper aware of young people, and I'd look and I'd be like, wow, this 4-year-old is really trying to get their parents' attention. And even though, they're like, yeah, okay. And they're on Facebook or whatever, right? At a mall, and their kids like just dicking around being annoying or whatever. But that is literally the same impact as having an alcoholic parent who is in a blackout and not present. You get the same mixed messages. They're not mixed. That's the message that they're getting, and that's how they're interpreting it. Is I'm not worth your time. I'm not valuable. I'm not heard.
Girl,
right?
Let me tell you, because like I was homeschooled, but my mom didn't want to homeschool us. It's just not on board. Didn't want to do it. I don't think she wanted to be a mom. I love her, but I don't think it was like what she really saw, or at least at the time that it happened.
Yeah.
And it was very much like, I'm going out. My dad would be away for days at a time because he was an EMT, so he would stay like on location so that they could, go when the call was had, And it was very much like me and my brother at home, just going through the books, I would help my brother with things. I would, try to figure out stuff myself, she was just very not, just kind of like figure it out, it's like do you, but also be the best, you know what I mean? Like, just figure it out, but be the best at it.
No guidance.
Like, it's just like figure it out. So I'm like, I feel like that's why I'm always a person who's like, every time I try something new, I want to be the best at it immediately. And if I'm not, then I'm like, fuck it, I'm never gonna
swing a golf club again. Yeah.
And the only thing that I found that was like, it kind of helped me focus that was training. Because it's like, no matter what I did, as long as I kept consistently doing it, I saw results. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, because some things, like math, not my strong suit. I could learn a shitload of math and just sit down with math books and just, make myself crazy learning about math. But it doesn't necessarily, I might get a little better, but it's not going to be, that kind of like, I accomplished something. You can see when you're training harder, the changes in your body, before anybody else even sees it. You're like, I did that. And then it's like, man, that rush when somebody else notices the shoulder definition that you noticed like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that, and you're just like, oh, thank you. And that's its own confidence booster, because you're like, I did that. Like, nobody did that for me. Nobody can do that for you.
Right.
You can't like, I guess you can get a BBL, but I don't want to do that.
My nickname growing up was Snorty Kortney. And then I followed her into the bathroom and she was peeing. I'm like,
you started off on the right. Yeah.
So before we were rolling, she wanted to know where the bathroom was. So I told her like down the hallway to the left, but then I think I just took off. So she followed me, and I realized, and I just pulled out my pants, start peeing. She's like, oh, I'm not supposed to.
She's like, I guess I wasn't supposed to follow. And I was like, oh, you were. And welcome. This is like proper introduction.
This is how we begin every podcast. I pee in front of my guests.
This is how we do it.
We should have the camera running. That's awesome.
BTS. I should have been there capturing.
Yeah, capturing the moment.
Right?
Can you imagine?
So yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I think it's good. It's good to have these conversations, and I do have men on here, but there just aren't as many men who want to just come on and talk, or I maybe just don't know as many men. I know more women than men, which is cooler anyway.
Which is good.
But I also think what's cool is that predominantly, mostly men listen. And of course, I know that obviously that's because, like, boobs. But, you know, we don't show those here.
Oh, okay.
No. So we don't show them here. But, like, they come here because initially they wanted to see my boobs. And they're like, oh, here's another thing. So I get that. But what's cool then is to have all these women here and talking as openly as we do about even, like, menstruation, like period sex, or, you know, just anything that, you know, we had a caller, Olivia, who was telling us about a guy that she was with that thought menstruation pads were like a Band-Aid that you, like, would just slap it on your, you know.
Oh, or like the R, the guy that with the R was for regular, and he's like, well, I can't find the L for the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you know, hey, that's because you're not being taught it. So it's like, hey, if they can hear it here and talk about, maybe it's not going to be such a weird, gross thing if you have to go buy tampons for a girl or something, like, or to have more understanding, because I know that I've always tried to, like, understand things from the male perspective, and I do, and I think I do, you know, the best I can with that, not having a penis.
Right.
But I feel like oftentimes it doesn't necessarily go both ways. And it's like, if you're someone who, you know, consumes the content of women, then you should also know about women and maybe use this as an opportunity to educate yourself in that way, because you can have better relationships, even friendships overall. Like,
you're hot. That shit's hot. That's deep. That's legit.
That's deep, bro.
I'm serious. Like, that's legitimate. That's an amazing thing, because it's funny. I started reading a book by this woman named Clementine Ford, who's a hardcore feminist in Australia. You'd probably see her in Melbourne, and she writes in a lot of the papers. Okay. And, you know, she's been quoted saying things like not enough men died during COVID, and she might have said it off the cuff, like, jokingly, right? But she's the exact extreme over here where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't like the extremes, and I think that that's always the biggest problem with anything. Right, left, man, woman, you know, race, whatever it is, you have to just find that common ground. And what it comes down to is really actively trying to understand a perspective that you will never have, because you're not that person and you're not that whatever
and
they are.
That's exactly why I bought her book, because it's called Boys Will Be Boys, is her second book, and I'm better trying to understand, you know, the new landscape of the non-binary transgender experience, and the patriarchy, as you say, because that's even in the subtitle of my book, is how I, you know, because I call it the patriarchy because these men, because of the patriarchy, don't talk about their fetish. And when I started out doing this, as I said, most of my sessions would turn out to be therapy, because I really was curious. And I, you know, was the only class I remember in college was men's health, because the rest of the time I was blacked out. But full stop. Legit, I would wear like my Donald Duck Halloween costume in the middle of fucking February.
That's hot.
You know, I'm like, you know, I've got a coffee cup full of like a screwdriver, like, let's study, like, just hammered,
just waddling.
Yeah,
you got the drunk waddle going on, right, with the duck costume.
It was like straight out of Disneyland. It was so legit. My grandma was so talented. I wish I still had that shit. But anyway, it was such an eye opener to me as a young person, because I was like, wow. The whole class was based around men's health, and how, as a man, you know, you're born into a box, and if you step outside that box, you're a little bitch. You're the rock. You don't cry, right? So I found this whole industry so fascinating, because I'm like, here you are coming to me to be in this submissive role of, you know, mistress, goddess, or to be actually, this isn't pretend, you know, because again, I'm not a pro dom, but it's, you know, to in real life, most of the time, some guys, you know, it's like, I'm like, all right, fine, you won, fuck. Ugh. I hate losing. Like you said, I hate not being the best at something. Even to a dude that's like 300 pounds, I didn't beat him arm wrestling.
I know. I go and lift with my boyfriend. I'm just like, why can't I lift that? And he's like, you just start, like, what do you mean?
Wheel it in.
Competing against me. I'm like, because I have to compete against everyone all the time.
Duh.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, that girl, we need another shirt, mommy issues.
Just
everybody says daddy issues.
Okay, here's a shirt idea. Normalize mommy issues.
Oh,
there we go.
I'm not even kidding.
Ding dong.
Listen, we could have a range of shirts just by you.
Yeah,
Let's do it. We'll do squat covers. I'm down for pump covers. I'm just learning what these covers are called. So sorry, I know it's not a squat cover. It's a pump cover. My bad. Sorry.
I don't even know what that is, but I'm down with it.
TikTok told me it's like the big oversized shirt, and then you take it off when you get a pump because you look amazing. But first you look like a big box.
Interesting. Oh, God,
Which totally doesn't appeal to men at all.
I'm so out of the loop. I'm like, hear that, and I'm like, yep, I'm ready to head out to the woods and get off grid.
Girl, I know. I've told Laura, like, I can't with TikTok, like, the scroll.
There's so much going on.
And I hate it because I have to just scroll until I find something that I can use, but I don't want to consume any of the shit that's there.
Right.
Every blue moon, I'm like, huh, that's funny. And then it's like just a tirade of like, here's the trends. And I
can't. It's like, I'm too much of a recovering conspiracy theorist to go down that path. And we've been on for an hour and I don't know how long we have.
Girl,
so.
like, let me tell you that I understand the whole thing. Because I understand that TikTok is evil. Like, it takes everything and consumes everything. But one of the problems then comes to is like, hey, I'm banned from Twitter. Instagram, right. I'm shadow banned. It's like, you just have to follow. You gotta. And one of the unfortunate things is that, you know, you can have these big companies, and even Instagram is a disgusting, you know, conglomeration of the Facebook Meta, whatever fucking bullshit. And it's all gross.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what other option do you have? Because if you don't do it, then you're not part of basically the new society, which is the internet.
You're shunned, so
you're out.
You're out. You're out. But yeah, the spectrum of going from, you know, it wasn't like I called myself a men's right activist or anything, but I legitimately can see how, you know, I'm not going to put myself in Jordan Peterson's boat by any stretch of the imagination.
You mean you're not like besties with Andrew Tate?
No. If I could, I know he's a kickboxing champion, but I will fight him.
I would love to see that. I would pay
I'm on
good money.
record. Like, I don't know. I would let him hit me. I don't
I would
care.
pay good money. I would watch.
I would watch that. That man is something else.
You know, I feel like he's somebody who definitely has a hidden like ball kicking fetish. Like he wants his balls kicked. I'm pretty sure,
Bezos,
like real deep down.
100%.
Wait,
100.
I thought Jeff Bezos was public knowledge.
I didn't know.
Oh.
Could be. Right, bro. 1-800 call me.
You went to the atmosphere. Your giant dick rocket. We get it. You want to be Pitbull. Get over it. Come on.
Oh my God. But yeah, since the majority of your listeners are men, it's great that more of you are owning. So what we were talking about earlier, own your shit. Mm-hmm. Like when you get into a relationship, you don't need to hide that you like smelly feet. So.
And one of the cool things is too, your girl, if especially if it's like a feet thing, like here's one of the things, like can you just imagine like turning some guy down because like he wants to have sex with you, sure, but he also wants to smell your feet after you go to the gym. You're gonna be like, ew, it's like it's your feet, like you made the smell. He just wants to experience it.
But like, why do we say ew? It's because of the media. It's because of the Matrix. It's because of this paradigm that we've all been plugged into to walk in line, to act right, to you know, live in this society that keeps us in this box. So you know, I think it's important that, you know, you do what you do and you give men an opportunity to, like you said, see into women's psyche and then to normalize some of these kinks. Yeah. And be like, there's nothing wrong with you for liking something that's not mainstream. Because if all of you motherfuckers liked Paris Hilton or Jessica Simpson, it would be a really boring planet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
agreed.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, like this industry is not obviously for everyone, but I don't think, you know, and I always do say, you know, obviously, you know, the stigma that exists, it will always exist to some level because it's like, you know, expecting everybody to like the same ice cream or to all be a fan of Jennifer Aniston or whatever. It's never going to happen. But also on that same note, it's kind of like, if everybody did it right, if it was so just the perfect job field, everybody would do it and we wouldn't make any money.
Yeah, right.
It's a
There would be
commodity.
no you, me,
So
anything.
it's kind of like we do talk about it, and it's good to bring that awareness. I think a good thing to remember though is that as much awareness as you bring, as many minds as you can change, there's always still going to be those people. So just don't get hung up on those people because it's just like thinking that you're unattractive or something. There's someone out there who disagrees.
Next,
And
move
so-
on to the next.
Yeah, exactly. It's like. The things we say change, the ideas that we have changed, the beliefs that we have changed. People are, and it's like if you are the same person that you were in your 30s as you were when you were like 19 or in your early 20s, like you need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like because that is such a progression of time, and people change so much. You can't be like demonized for something that you did or said or thought or felt when you didn't have the experiences that have changed your mind in where you are now. And holding on to the hatred that other people have for you or the misunderstanding that other people have for you only hurts yourself. It doesn't hurt them. It just makes them feel more justified in calling you out or telling you what a piece of shit you are when you act like a piece of shit.
Right. That's exactly right. Damn, this shit's been deep.
It's been so good.
And you still got those glasses on. I
know,
love
but
it.
I might as well just leave them.
You might as well. We're
Stay
in the home,
weird.
We're in the home stretch.
Stay weird. I like it. She's gonna take them off and not be able to walk because she's like,
I know, right? That's another shirt, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
For real, like we're gonna need to go back through and write all this down. Mm-hmm. That's happening.
I think so. We're gonna have to create a collaboration line. I'm super down.
Yeah.
We got all the shirt ideas.
Yeah. I know you got a friend with a line, but I'm gonna have to steal you.
No, that's good. I'm down to help out.
I mean, I don't want
everybody.
to steal.
Especially like
well, there's enough for all of
like
us.
female
Sharing.
brands, but there's also like I feel like a difference between yoga like lifestyle fitness between like we're going to lift.
For real.
Save your pity for the weak.
That's exactly right. We just rolled out a shirt though that says "Hell hath no fury like a mediocre white man," and it contradicts because I'm all like, we all need to be unified, and they're like I said, I'm a recovering conspiracy
That's the thing
theorist.
is we make fun of everyone.
Yeah,
I make fun of myself more than anybody else. It's like get on board.
White man that wants to like write in and be like, you're promoting obesity and da-da-da-da. Or like I hated masks. Like I don't talk about it publicly because it's a very divisive thing, and I'm attached to a brand, and this is not worth getting into an argument. But for example, my husband and I are completely split when it comes to those views when it was the vaccine and masking and all that, right? We still coexist and it was fine.
Yeah.
But the mask was a pain in the ass. I did not see the purpose of it. Sure, it might
especially here in Vegas during the heat. I was just like, bro,
dying. But it was them that were so upset about wearing it because it was such a huge inconvenience in my body. My body, my choice. And then it comes down to women's. One thing I will never bend on is pro-choice. Full stop.
Girl, the Roe v. Wade thing was overturned when I was in Australia, and I've never watched that episode. I've been told by people that it was great because I just ranted for like over an hour about my sexual assault and my last relationship and all of the reasons why having that repealed would negatively impact people and just how furious it makes. And it's one of those things that it's like, why at this point the rest of the world is like, what are you doing?
Seriously.
And at that point it's like, well, why are they doing it? Is it another fucking distractionary thing to get us fighting about stupid shit to distract us from I don't know, the recession that we're now in, that we're not in? It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. What about this on TikTok?
And I understand the logic behind wanting to take power away from the federal government and put it back into the states' hands, but that is one area that should not be touched, full stop, period, end of story. You know what I mean? And but of course is the mediocre white man that's screaming from the top of his lungs about making laws about our body. And it's like, you have no lived experience. Come to my age and sleep 1 hour a night or three hours a night for 2 months and then come talk to me about the subject. Let's see how that goes.
And don't tell me about the whole men get sexually assaulted too. I know they do. But if a man gets sexually assaulted, he doesn't have a butt baby.
Right?
He's not forced to carry it in his anus for 9 months and then shit it out. Like it's at a certain point it becomes, well, that's not something that you can
But not
relate
just
to.
shit it out, and then sure, if you don't put it up for adoption, but
Yeah,
you're,
but sure, but then you look at it's that whole thing of caring about it until it's out of you. And then it's like, well, go fuck yourself. It's not like there's like a test that you get to take at the hospital before you take your fucking baby home. It's like there's no standard for parenting. And it's like, even if you do take that child home, you're not necessarily a good parent. You don't necessarily want that kid. You're not necessarily going to treat it right.
You can't necessarily do it anyway if you don't have the means to.
Exactly.
You can't feed it, clothe it. You can't pay for its daycare.
And
you
then,
can't pay for it to...
And then what happens when the kid goes into the system?
Right, then they're gonna bitch. Then they're gonna
Correct.
bitch about it more. That's my tax dollars and these pieces of shit and
It's
addicts,
like, well,
and it's like,
do
okay.
you want them to do? It's like
I mean, I know what I want to do. I want to put my hands on that ass on that poster right there. That's what I want to do.
Right?
So that's what's up with that.
that ass.
So I'm just saying.
That
I mean, I'm in a position right now, you know, like, I don't know for how long, but when I retire, I think, you know, we should talk about other kinds of content.
Yeah, I'm down.
Just saying.
But we need shirt collaborations. It'd be fun to just do like
That's a must.
the shirt collaborations are coming.
And I'm just kidding. Anybody that listens to this and that knows, you know, my position. I'm not going anywhere for a while. So
it's one of those things. Like it's fun to have and play with the idea, and it's still all that like to your comfort level thing. It's like if that's not what you want for your brand, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, different things for
different
everyone.
strokes for different folks.
That's right. And I
But
like
here's the end, and maybe this is like the caveat, because I don't. How long do your podcasts usually roll?
until we feel like it.
Yeah, cool. You can tell you're like, this bitch needs a nap. Seriously. But no, the nut of it is if you have to lie about something, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's true.
Simple.
Fuck yeah.
That's true. I
like
agree with
that.
that.
Fuck yeah. Another shirt?
Put it on for. Oh, I was just gonna say put it on t-shirt.
Dude, I saw that one at Ross. I was like, I can't take credit for that.
Damn you, Ross. Oh my God. I'm so bummed your Twitter got banned. I just found this account that says shirts that go hard.
I love that.
There's like the most random shit that's, you know, over from other countries that they've just totally fucked up. You're like, oh my God, what?
I love that when you get like, I love to go into like one of those little Japanese stores that's just like all import stuff, and you look at like their, you know, English version of something. It's just like, flowers so yum, yes. And it's like on a water bottle with like strawberries on it. You're like, cool. I fuck with this. It's so random. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And where can they find you and all of your things?
On your OF when we do a collab.
You can find me buried between Molly's legs at Naked Barbie Doll on OnlyFans.
It's Naked Barbie Doll?
Yeah.
Okay, noted. My website, so I do coaching. I don't like life coaching. But
Watermelon coaching.
Yeah, watermelon coaching. That's my funnel. It's the 8-week training program. It's free. But then, of course, I'm cross-sell. I've got a training app. So program called Get Massive, plus a few other ones. And then I do a modality called Psych K. So it's kind of like NLP or hypnotherapy or Reiki, but it's a do with. I'd love to do a session with you to transform any of the past trauma that you've had, because that gets stored in our body on a cellular level and gets passed down for 7 generations. So
just like, we're gonna go explore your trauma. I'm like, that sounds fun.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna make
the
it
magic
fun.
school bus. We're going in. We're going inside.
Make your own adventure. But I would love to facilitate that with you, and you as well if you want.
Hell yeah, I'm in.
Thank you. The more things that we can do to change our limiting beliefs, because whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. You know,
that is very true.
Anyway, my website is KortneyOlson.com. You're sure you can find the spelling, and then the clothing is GRRRL. And I'll say we don't use sizes. I'll end on that. So you would be believe both of you would be Amanda, Heather. We've just changed our athletes' names.
Oh, cool.
So,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you don't do size, you go based on like the athlete.
The athlete's
okay.
body type and measurements. So because
cool.
we are a global brand, and then you've got like the UK and Australia.
There's so many different kinds
right?
of sizing
They're
anyway.
all fucked up. You could be a medium and Reebok and an extra large and Under Armour. So this way you measure your waist size, you get your true shape. We try. There's no try. You're either pregnant or you're not. We do our best
Yeah.
to use the word shape, athlete shape, and then that way and we go all the way up to something that's like the equivalent of a 7X.
Oh, wow.
Down to like an XXS. So because we don't think like, oh, you need to go shop at the your plus size or your petite. It's like, no, bitch, we all have a body.
Yeah.
It's just I hate that word meat sack, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
We're all just a bunch of meat sacks full of blood and bones.
Yeah. So why do we need to be
T-shirt.
Yes. Yes.
That's like the vibe of our whole episode today.
T-shirt.
I just want
I
just want a T-shirt
just
that
do
says,
you,
Yeah.
be authentic,
Yeah.
don't lie, like be like
Just own your shit.
Yeah,
Own your
I
shirt.
love that.
Motherfucker.
What a
But just
powerful
meat sack. Like it just says meat sack, and maybe it's like a grocery bag like full of meat.
Damn. See, this is when women get together, like
In another
magic
life,
happens.
I just think I should have done advertising, but instead I'm like, I'll advertise these tits.
Advertise his titties. Can you bounce them yet? Oh, you said you got them put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I missed that.
So you got yours put in,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I
then
got
pulled out.
pulled out. So I think they gave me Graves' disease. One of them, my surgeon turned out to be a wanker up on the Gold Coast. He falsified his credentials, and then he got done for sexual assault. Lost his license, but one of them was like kept filling up with liquid.
Ooh.
And they were the implants were recalled. Allergan or Allergen, I forget what the brand was, but they were the silicone ones, and I was so lean, and I was doing like jujitsu, CrossFit, and Bikram yoga all in the same day, 5 days a week. So talk about like getting over alcoholism and addiction, but then we find a new addiction. So I had hypergymnasia.
Took over.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I was like, let me get some titties. I'll feel more. Because I actually, started shaving the sides of my head, as you can see.
Wow.
Because dudes
That's
would
cool.
start like pulling my hair, fighting dirty because you're in a gi, they don't see your legs, and I'm like, oh, come between my thighs. That's like my fantasy. Actually, I'm like, oh, you want to rape me? Come through my window. I fucking dare you.
I'll just crack it fucking.
Seriously, that's what's up. Like, we can change the game on this shit. Like, no more domestic violence, no more fucking sexual assault. Like, you flip that switch, motherfucker, I will fucking smash your head like a watermelon. Like, watch me.
I always love the guys who
Tangent.
no girl I feel you because I get all the guys who always have the comments of, I can be doing just squats, pull-ups, doesn't fucking matter if I'm doing anything fitness or flexing. It's like, well, men are still stronger.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You're supposed to go lower. Your feet are too close together. Your hands are too close together in a chin up. Your
Correctile
hands are too
dysfunction.
Or what they'll do. I love when they correct me like on my placement or something, and then I can come back and just tell them exactly why they're wrong in a very kind and productive way.
Yeah.
But then they still have some shit to say, and then I just let them fight with other people because it's just like, you would never say that shit to me in person.
No.
And I know this because I have I've started reaching the point where I'll go to the grocery store and I'll have someone tell me that I'm jacked. It's like, it's because you would never say that shit to me in person. I'd fucking knock you out. I was looking for an opportunity. Man.
I know, right? I'm just waiting.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you.
I love it. Oh my god.
But you guys will have to wait for us until next week because that's what we have time for today. Because I need more coffee and I'm also about to pee my pants, so it's a really weird situation to like be stuck in the middle
And I've
of.
got to write down that Barbie handle, and we've got to make a game plan for our first shoot. So y'all got to
Hell yeah.
say goodbye.
Yeah, come over. Like Brandy came over and we just flexed and we oil wrestled and
Oh, it's
Such a
on.
fun day.
Oh my
it
god.
was fun. We trained. We did squats in the backyard and
Little pool time.
no pool time. It
I
was
got
fantastic.
my book. We're gonna book that shit right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Stay
All right.
tuned.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Kortney, for being here. Make sure you follow Kortney and GRRRL Clothing
both of you.
everywhere.
I'm turned on. On that note.
Stay wholesome, yo.
Stay wholesome. Share with a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/MollyStewartChats. Make sure to leave a comment to help the algorithm. Share with a friend, your mother, a guy that doesn't understand that, tampons, they
Are
do
not
go
plugs.
inside. They're not plugs.
No.
Not left and right.
You can't hold your blood in like pee. Maxi pads are not Band-Aids for your labia. And maybe learn something.
There you go.
Thank you guys so much.
Over and
I
out.
forgot liquid IV. I'll make sure that one's in here, but I forgot to do. Did you know that one stick of liquid IV dissolved in 16 ounces of water hydrates faster, more effectively than water alone with the help of CTT technology, transporting all of those 5 essential vitamins right into your bloodstream: vitamin C, vitamin B6, B3, B5,
All the Bs.
B12, all the Bs.
Oh, I'm getting on that first thing in the morning.
If you think that you might be dehydrated, you probably are. You could be. I don't know.
You
I'm
might
not a doctor,
be.
but I risk it for the biscuit. Go to liquidiv.com.
Poor biscuit.
Use code TWND at checkout.
Say 15% when you use the code TWND podcast.
25% free shipping. Experience better hydration today. And I'll see you next week. I love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.